And we're live. So, welcome everybody to yet another live interview show with Become a Fearless Father. And I'm just going to say Coach Corey. I mean, you say it all the time. You write it everywhere. So, I'm not going to use your last name. We're just going to call you Coach Corey. Corey, thank you so much for hopping on the show. Really appreciate that. Especially, it's only the second, right? I mean, and we're already off on a great start of the year, welcoming you as actually, to be honest, our second live interview guest of 2020. So Corey, first of all, let's start off with some question, because what I really like what you do is like you help entrepreneurs become the expert of their niche, right? And I've been following you a little bit. Actually, you've been coaching me a little bit in regards to Facebook groups, showing that you are, really niching out that market, right? Being the expert in regards to growing your Facebook group, making it an engaged Facebook group, and monetizing your Facebook group, correct?
Right. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So that's absolutely beautiful. I love what you're doing. And what I want to ask is, what's your first advice when you talk to entrepreneurs on how to become an expert in their niche, niche,
whatever. Yeah. So obviously, like first of all, I mean, it all starts with like just figuring out what your niche is going to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for some people, that's like just trying to figure out what you're passionate about, try to find that one thing. And then for some people, like myself, it just kind of comes natural. So when I first started doing Facebook group growth, I didn't start off, saying that I was the expert at it. What happened was I grew several groups to like 1,000 members in 90 days or less, and I just started getting all kinds of people like asking me like how I was doing it. So I was like, well, I'm just going to make a group about growing Facebook groups. And I did that with the mission of reaching at least 1,000 members in 90 days. And I hit 2,000 members in 80 days. So that kind of like, justified me being able to say that I'm an expert, right? Or whatever you want to call it, when it comes to growing Facebook groups, because I proved it. So that's where I would start. Like, first of all, is like just know whatever it is. Like, it's got to be something that you're really passionate about, something that like you could talk about all day, every day, and not get bored with it. Because ultimately, like, if you don't want to go to a day job because you don't like your day job, well, then don't have a side hustle or a online business where you don't like what you're doing anyway. So that's where you got to start, is just picking the right niche that suits you.
Absolutely. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, passion is so important, man, especially when, what you just said, right? Most of we start out first at a 9 to 5, right? We have our job and then we decide, okay, we want to do something extra, and we do that on the side, which takes longer. It's harder. You get do, a lot of failure. If there's no passion for what you do, you're just thinking like, oh yeah, I want to make money, and that's not coming. And how long are you going to stick with that, right?
Right. Absolutely. And that's like one of the big keys is just, when you're going at the online marketing or whatever you want to call it, don't go after the money, right? Like really figure out what it is that you're going to be able to do and enjoy doing, and then the money's going to come later. So definitely focus on that.
Exactly. What's up, Dominic? Thanks for joining, buddy. Appreciate you as always. It's one of my fighters, not my fighters, but one of my friends from England that has an amazing business on its own. Appreciate you, Dom. Thank you. Corey, for the people that are listening now or later on the replay, right? Share a little bit about you. Like you already mentioned, like how you got into the whole Facebook growth, Facebook group growth aspect. But which church you like, and share with us as well. Very important, your family setup, right? Marriage, children.
Yeah, absolutely. So I live in Fort Worth, Texas right now. I've been married for just over 6 years, about 6.5 years. My wife and I actually had our first kid 16 months ago, something like that. A little daughter named Layton. And, right now it's just, getting that whole baby experience. I guess I'm a first-time father, so, I'm going through it and just loving it. Like, I'm blessed. I really do think that my baby is a very happy baby. Like, she doesn't hardly ever cry, and she's always smiling. So I'm really happy about it.
That's awesome. I appreciate that. What about, how did you become an entrepreneur? How did you roll into that? Was that straight from the beginning? Were your parents entrepreneurs? What's your background?
Man. So I've always been an entrepreneur. Like when I first started, I started my entrepreneur journey in 4th grade. Basically, what happened was the office at my school had like a little pencil machine that had like sports teams on it, like NFL football sports teams.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed like the other boys in my class were like always training these things back and forth or whatever. So what I did was I went home, I took all my mom's quarters and I bought like all the pencils out of the machine. And then I started selling them. I'd sell them for more than what I paid for them. And that taught me like supply and demand because I only had a certain number of certain teams, so I knew if I only had one of them, it had to be worth a lot more because there was only one. And then, then the ones that I had a bunch of, I could sell for cheaper or at least break even on, knowing that I'd make up the difference. So that's like really where I started my online, or not my online entrepreneur, like my entrepreneurship journey. From there, I mean, I've done about everything you can think of. I've owned a hot dog cart before, lemonade stand when I was a kid. I used to always do side jobs whenever, people wanted something done. And then I became a mechanic. So I'm a mechanic by trade. And I do a lot of, repairs on cars and stuff like that, obviously, on the side. But my biggest thing probably, like when I say my biggest, when I was a senior in high school, I actually started a boxing club. People called it a fight club, but I built like a boxing ring in my barn, and I had like a flood lamp that came down. I had like the ropes up and everything, and I scheduled like 5 fights a night. I had 2 nights, and ended up making about $3,000 from those 2 nights, charging just a few bucks a piece, to get in for admission. So that was kind of my big, claim to fame. I was in all kinds of newspapers and stuff because it got busted up by the cops, but but yeah, it was pretty cool.
All right. So, because it was illegal boxing events, or
yeah. So I had boxing gloves, and I even had like headgear and mouthpieces for everybody because I wanted to be safe. Basically, what happened was like when I was in high school, a lot of like the school violence stuff was kind of going on. So we had a class that was talking about like how do you stop the violence in school or whatever. And me and my buddies were like, well, if people just had a way of getting that aggression out without like in a safe manner, we probably wouldn't have this kind of stuff. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's throw a fight club. Built a box ring, bought all the equipment and stuff. And then, like I said, we just went around finding people that, wanted to box or get some frustrations out and let them go at it in a safer way. But because it wasn't like sanctioned with the boxing committee, I got a little bit of trouble, but luckily, everything got dismissed and nobody got hurt. So.
Yeah, right. It's not a bad idea. I mean, legally speaking, it should be definitely organized in the right way. But the thought I like, absolutely.
Right.
I mean, yeah, if that helps, right? Why not?
Yeah, we had a bunch of fun. That's for sure.
Exactly. Great, man. I like that. Entrepreneur spirit in you. Absolutely fantastic. For the people that want to check out Coach Corey, right here is his website. Just want to share it right away. It is in the comments section. Not just that, it is also in the description section. You can just click on the links. I actually left also his Facebook group there that he just mentioned, where he grew that to over 2,000 members in 80 days. So make sure you check that out because he's dropping some major nuggets that I hope to get out of him during this interview in that group as well. And I put if that's okay with you, I hope so, I'll put his private Facebook profile in there as well so you can connect with him directly. All right. Absolutely. All right, man. Let's get the show on the road. So let's talk a little bit about Facebook groups, right? What's the secret? Or no, I'm starting to hate the word secret. What's your secret? What's your approach to help people grow their Facebook group? And maybe most importantly, keep it engaged, because I've noticed in a lot of groups that engagement is the key and it drops out real fast.
Yeah, absolutely. So like it all starts with actually like your personal branding, your personal profile. One of the things that I do, and this is what I teach my course and stuff, start with your personal profile, right? And you want to get out there and you want to just start personal branding. So like we said earlier, with your niche or niche, whatever, figure that out and then go and join at least 5 to 10 different groups that are based off of that niche. Again, you want to look for groups that have a couple thousand members maybe or more, but you want to make sure that they're engaged, right? And there's a way that you can check that. Like before you join the group, if you kind of scroll down a little bit, it'll say like how many posts there were that day, and then like how many members there are, how many members joined in the last 30 days. Always check out those numbers because those are going to show you how active and engaged those groups are. But once you do that, you're just going in there and adding value as much as possible. Like try to hit the top leader or the contributor boards, right? Top contributor boards. So go in there, but it's all value packed. Like, don't go in there trying to fish people out. Don't go in there, spamming or anything like that. Like, just go in there, comment on as many stuff or as many posts and stuff as you can. The number one thing is like answer questions. So if it's in a niche that you're going to be the expert in, you want to turn on all notifications for that group. And then anytime that you see a question pop up, you want to be the first one in there answering that question, right? Because that's going to ultimately put you in a spot of authority. And the cool thing is when you're doing this strategy, when you're answering all these questions and when you're doing valuable posts in those groups, the admin of the group are going to see what you're doing, right? So not only that, like a lot of people are starting to do like this top contributor shout out, which I'm going to take credit for. I started that, several months ago. But anyway, these groups are all doing like shout outs to their top contributors, right? And that puts you in front of them, and like they're going to automatically start recognizing you, right? And they'll start associating with you. And when they say that you're hitting the top leaderboard like month after month or week after week, however they're doing it, that's going to give you the right to reach out to them and have them do some kind of maybe shout out to you or come in and do an interview in your group or something like that. And it's just going to help you build your brand through the power of their brand that they've already built. So that's what I would say. The biggest key though, using your personal profile, having it set up to where it leads people into your group. That's huge. But mainly because you're going to be going in all these other groups and just adding value, right? And it doesn't have to be like super in-depth things. Like if you know the 7 keys to whatever, XYZ, like break that out into 7 different posts. Like don't just do one post with all 7 things. Do a post that says, I'm going to be going over the 7, keys to success with online marketing. Here's tip number 1. And then at the end of that post, just put like, I'm going to be posting tomorrow for tip number 2. And then what that does is it helps you get more engagement because once people start reading your post, they'll start coming back to see your next post and your next post, right? So it's kind of, you're always trying to stretch things out as much as possible.
Exactly. I like that. That's pretty smart. And yeah, what I've noticed a lot is that people try that strategy, but then you notice real quick, it's like, oh yeah, this person is just trying to fish, which gets you kicked out of the group real fast, right?
Right. If you're truly fishing, and that's what I'm saying. So like with me, since I know how to like grow Facebook groups or whatever, like that's kind of my niche or whatever. When I go into other groups, they don't have to be like specifically on, Facebook groups. They could be anything on like online marketing. But what I'll do is I'll go in there and I'll share a tip, just like I said with you, like, or I'll share a tip saying, did you know that you can search Facebook groups for keywords by using the search bar over on the left side of the screen? Try it for an example. Type in the admin's name and I'll tag the admin, in that post. So that's going to make them read the post first of all, but it's kind of like giving them a shout out, and then it's giving their people a tool, a tip of what they can use, right? But nowhere in there am I saying, comment below if you want my free tip or anything like that. I'm not trying to ask people to come join me in my other group. I'm just going in there and posting in that group as if it was my own group, as far as just adding value and not asking for anything in return.
Exactly. Yeah, all about abundance and all about them because people are going to click on you like, who's this Corey guy, right?
Right, exactly.
And they see your profile, as you said, you put your branding, and then people see that, and they will probably join your group.
Yeah, they'll probably follow you into your group, right? Absolutely. And that's why you need to have your profile funnel, is what it's called, really, with your banner or your cover photo where it says, join my free group to learn about blah blah blah. Click here. That's the importance of having that set up first before you start going into all these other groups. Because as people start like hovering over your name, even that's going to be the first thing that they see. So that's your first impression. And some people just have like a picture of a sunset or something, and it's like, well, I don't pay any attention to those people, but if you have something that's saying, hey, I teach Facebook group growth or whatever, whatever it is that you're trying to do, it's a way easier way to get people to come into your group.
Exactly. But that's the one thing, because I just said abundance real quickly in there, but that's the one thing that stuck out from you is like you share absolutely everything. Right. There's no holding back. There's just like, you share everything, which I've noticed also a lot of people are scared. They're like, no, I got to keep this with myself, because if I share everything, then, nobody's going to buy from me. Right. What's your thought on? No, I know your thought on it, but share it with other people. Why?
So here's the thing. So inside of a group, if you're sharing this stuff, like again, this is all going to be based on how active your group is, right? How engaged. Like my group gets like 30,000 comments or whatever like every month, right? Which is freaking phenomenal. So I know if I do a post today, like half the people in my group aren't even going to see it anyway. Like there's going to be a very small few. Like the people that are smart that turn on the notifications for your lives are going to be the ones that get to see all that stuff. So kudos to them. But most time, like I don't know, probably 80 to 90% of your group isn't going to see every single one of your posts. So they're going to get bits and pieces. They're going to see some stuff and not see everything. And ultimately what you're trying to do is you create your course that's going to have everything in it. And then when people are watching those videos and they're like, oh, I need this part of the training. And it's like, well, you can either go search through, like, you can go scroll for a day and a half trying to find my last post where I talked about it. Or you can buy my course and get everything in a package deal. Because ultimately at the end of the day, that's what the course is about. Like the course is just having all of my stuff in one spot. So it's easy reference for the person that's buying it, right? You're buying that easy reference rather than having to go through all of my videos or go through all of my posts trying to find out whatever it is that you're trying to find out.
Absolutely. So any access to you directly, right?
Right. Yeah. And then that's the other thing too. Like, I mean, I try to answer as many people's questions as possible, obviously, but with anything, if you're a paid member of anything, like you obviously get number one attention, right? So anybody that's paying me, I'm giving them my first, they're my first in line. If I was on this right now and one of my clients, called me up saying, hey, I need to talk, I would have to tell you, hey, I got to let you go because, my clients call me. But again, kind of going back to that whole, like, trying to keep everything, there's no point. Like some people say do like the 70-30 rule, right? Like give away 70%, keep 30%. But honestly, there's so much content going around. There's so many different groups going around. People aren't going to see everything that you got anyway. So it's just way easier to just give it all, because if they do happen to see that and they catch that one golden nugget, well, that makes them want to, look for more,
Exactly. So, yeah, I love that, man. I love that idea, that mentality that you have. Not just that, even if they get the golden nugget and they're happy. I mean, if somebody else would come to them or talk to them, and they'd be talking about, I'm struggling with my group, etc. What do you think they would say? They'd be like, dude, I'm in this group. Coach Corey is absolutely phenomenal. Check him out. Talk to him. Right? That's just free marketing. You don't even have to pay for that. And plus, if somebody else tells you, like, Coach Corey is the bomb, I mean, that's going to be way better than somebody just finding you by accident on
absolutely. Facebook. And that's what ends up happening, right? Like as you go through this whole process, now I'm at a point where usually if there's a post in like the ClickFunnels official community or whatever, somebody asking about Facebook groups, I get mentioned. Like, I mean, it's not like I'm like the most mentioned. There's me and there's Alex S. Elliott and who else? Andrew Cruzy, and there's some other people, but I get mentioned, which is cool, and that's that's the biggest benefit. And even if that person didn't buy my program, just like you said, if they caught a piece of nugget here or there, they're giving me a shout out in a huge group full of people that are, in a niche where I'm looking to get into.
Exactly.
So that's a huge thing, is getting shout outs like that. And another thing is, as you're trying to grow your personal brand, don't be afraid to do shout outs yourself of the people that you're trying to associate yourself with, right? Because my thing is like personal branding and positioning. Just like I got a mastermind coming up in March where I'm sharing the stage with like Blake Newbar, James Smiley, Akbar Sheik, Colton Crowdinger, and these are for people that are in the ClickFunnels communities. They're big names, like they're really big name people, and I get to share the stage with them. And I just started my online journey, just over a year ago. But the only reason why I am is because I've done what I'm telling you right now. I've gone into their groups, gave a ton of value, got that relationship going with them. And then ultimately I just reach out to them, saying, hey, I'm going to be doing this mastermind. Would you like to be a speaker? So I'm throwing my own little mastermind, and they're going to be speakers. And it's just going to be, it's an awesome experience.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And yeah, they are great speakers. I think every single entrepreneur that's coming to your event speaking, I have had on my show so far, and they've all dropped immense golden nuggets. So for all those people that are listening and want to know more, make sure, again, I'm sure there's some information on your website, right? And if not, then just, there's some contact information that you can get in contact with Corey. And make sure you do that, because I've seen the Speak Up line, and it's going to be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, for sure. So that said, man, you're absolutely blowing up. You're working, well, from what I've seen, it's always what people see, right? So this is from what I
Right.
see. It's like you're working constantly. You're in those little groups. At the same time, you gotta have a wife, married for 6.5 years. We'll talk to that in a second. But also a daughter, 15 months, right? How do you make sure? I mean, I know she's young, but I always keep saying, like, look, man, these are the days, right? Now you got all the time and even hugs and telling stories, even though they might not be able to talk. Still, this is the most important time that we got, right?
Right.
How do you make sure that you take the time to connect and especially be present? Because that's what I've noticed that most entrepreneur dads are really struggling with.
Yeah, it's just being present. And I mean, I'd say I struggle with that as well. I still work a 60-hour-a-week job, right? So I do
Oh,
all
okay.
this while I'm working my full-time job. Um, but basically, I try to get everything done inside of that 60-hour-a-week window, right? So after I get home from work, it's like I tend to my wife. If she needs something, I always listen.
Mm-hmm.
We try to talk and listen and all that kind of stuff. And then I'm just spending time with my daughter. Typically, by the time I get home from work, my wife needs a break from my daughter, so I
Mm-hmm.
take over the daughter responsibilities, and we get to hang out. And she is just a baby, so we basically just play on the floor or whatever. But it's definitely something that it's a struggle. It's a hard balancing act because you're, at least for me, your wife or your spouse can kind of see your side hustle as an affair, right? Like, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
honestly, like all you care about is work or whatever, and then so I know when it gets to that point that I have to definitely push my work aside and really just focus on her. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's how I try to do it. I try to make sure that I can get everything that I need done before I go home from work. And then if there's stuff that I can do, like say if my daughter goes to sleep or something like that, later
Mm-hmm.
at night, I'll burn the midnight oil, as they say, and try to and schedule posts and all that kind of stuff for the rest of the week or whatever. After my daughter's asleep, anyway.
Exactly. Yeah, I understand that. So how do you order that? How do you say, like, okay, this comes first? Like, if everything has to come first, and you're like, oh shoot, I got so much stuff to do. How do you decide, like, okay, this is gonna come first, that's gonna come second, that's gonna come third?
Yeah, and that for me really just depends on my wife. I can see how happy or unhappy she is.
Okay.
So the more unhappy she gets, the more I got to start focusing on her. It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
the way that I look at it. I don't try to just push her aside at any given point. I always try to make sure that she knows she's my number one. But
Mm.
for me, with that man mentality, I guess, of conquer the world, we're trying to build this business, and it's like we have this mindset of I'm doing this for us, right?
Yep.
But she'll never see it that way. She'll always see it as you're doing your own thing, and I'm over here alone by myself. So trying to keep that balance is hard. It's a struggle. But like I said, when I know that I'm starting to frustrate her, or that I know that I'm putting too much time in on the work side of it, then I do nice stuff for her, and I put things on hold and take her on dates or do whatever needs to be done to kind of make sure that she understands that she is still number one. You
Exactly.
know,
Yeah, exactly. So dates, right? And what else are some of the things that you do to make sure that she feels really special?
yeah, just like making sure that she has her own freedom too, like because she is
Mm.
kind of tied down with the kid. My wife, she's a stay-at-home mom. She
Okay.
has a side job where she like cleans houses and apartments and stuff like that, but it's just like really, really part-time, a couple hours a week. So I try to make sure, like I said, when I get home, I make sure that she knows that I'm there for her first. And we talk and discuss and all that kind of stuff. And then typically I'll just, watch the kid while she can go and do her workout or whatever she needs. She needs time
Mm.
to herself too. And then ultimately trying to be able to put the kid down so that we could have time, by ourselves.
Exactly. Perfect, man. Yeah, I love that. Great, man. Thank you for sharing that. That's definitely very powerful. And
Yeah.
then I hope entrepreneur dads pick on that, because for us, it's the biggest struggle, as you mentioned, man. We're out there, man. We want to provide. We want to make a huge impact in the world, and we forget all that other stuff. I know, man. I've
Yeah.
definitely been there. I had to make some huge changes. So I appreciate you sharing that. Look, man, we're at our time. I told you it's about 25 minutes, so we get there. Corey, for all those entrepreneurs that's out there that are either listening right now or listening later on, either on the audio or whatever it is, right? what's the best way besides going to your website? I'm going to share it again. Why not? What's the best way to connect with you?
Yeah, I mean, Facebook is obviously going to be the best way. You can send me a friend request or whatever. If you're going to do that, send me a message saying that, you came to me through Klaas, and that way I know I'll accept your friend, because I get a ton of friend requests, so I don't like, accept a lot of them. That'd be the easiest way. If not, my group, the Unlimited Life Academy, I'm in there regularly, all the time, going live, doing everything. So that's probably the best way to reach me.
Awesome. Absolutely. Those links, all of these links are in the description, so you can just click on it right away. We made it as easy as possible for you to connect with Corey. So make sure you do not have any excuses not to do so. I highly recommend it. As I said, this guy's been helping me out with some things, and I noticed I shared that post, right? How many comments did I get? Like 80 comments on a post.
Yeah.
Man, I never had that blew up. So highly recommend you doing the same.
That's awesome.
Anyway,
I'm glad to hear that it works. Cause I try to share, like you said, as much as I can. And engagement is one of the biggest things. Like, getting engagement period is huge, but obviously once you get your group going, like, you really need to keep that engagement going. So I try to teach as many different strategies as I can for that. And I'm glad to see that it's working. But it only works if you work. So obviously, congratulations to you for actually taking action and doing it.
That's what it's all about. Got to take action. All right, man. Corey, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time. Everybody else, thank you for being with us. Really appreciate that. Have an amazing 2020. As Corey said, take action. All right.
Take action.
Take care. Bye-bye.